Hey, Indira, welcome. So, I actually have no clue as to what's going on. So it's funny how, like, we think we know what this is, and then from there we make assumptions. So I know what I am. I gotta tell you, I don't know what I am. What's happening right now? I don't know. What's happening right now? What is hearing these words? I don't know what is hearing these words. What is seeing right now? What is seeing? Not the eyeballs. I don't know what's seeing, if I'm honest. And yet I make up all these stories innocently, these pretend stories of what I think I am, what I think others are, and what I think I need to do about that.
Do you know what you are not? I don't I don't know. Like, what is the line between you and everything else? Casey. Exactly. Like, I can have a belief, like I can imagine, right? You can imagine anything, like literally, right? Anything. But what this actually is, and I don't mean conceptually, I mean just this right here. What's going on right here? What, just this. Like, even if I reject this, like, what the hell am I rejecting? You know? Like, what's a belief without you? You know, is there such a thing as a belief without you?
And what are you without a belief?
The same thing as you are.
The same thing you are with a belief. Is that right, Amor?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I was looking at this cup today, kind of like what Amor is saying. So even if there's just like you're looking at the coffee cup, it's like you forget infinity because you're focused on the coffee cup. But infinity never goes anywhere. It's always right here. It's almost like the mind has the ability to block out everything else but the coffee cup. So it can experience something called the coffee cup. But the infinity never actually, the coffee cup is the infinity. So everything is the infinity appearing as whatever it's appearing as. But it's still the infinity. I love this I love this Peter Brown quote. Peter Brown says, developing a sensitivity beyond interpretations, developing a sensitivity beyond interpretations, we develop a confidence. We develop a confidence and a trust that we don't have a handle on things, that we don't have a handle on. We develop a confidence and a trust that we don't know what the hell's going on.
It's like the death of all knowing, and that's scary sometimes.
So let's take a look at that, Casey. Who who or what is that scary for?
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like it's not scary anymore, but like right now, I think like, do I? Are there any beliefs? You know, I can't like find any. that used to scare the hell out of me. Like the fact that I don't really know if there's a me or not.
Hey, Casey, you know we're getting an echo off you, buddy.
Oh, is that me?
Think so?
Okay. Anyway, keep going.
I think it's Addie's. It's showing up on the
Addie?
there's sound coming in from Addie's.
Addie causing
Yeah.
trouble. She didn't even do anything. She's just driving.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so look at the difference, right? So this is all about contrast. So the noise, like when I was speaking, and then when Casey, there was like kind of that echoey disruption. And look, now it's not here.
Hey, Michael, I got a question. Would you say that this is like a space kind of thing? Like it's like right now, absolutely. Like when I'm helping customers, I guess I call it unconscious because the story is just full on. I'm thinking like an I, like, oh crap, I forgot to do this or that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like in the background of things, it's the belief still is loose and it makes everything just a little less serious.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's times like this where you could just sink into a black hole. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't really problem solve and stuff. I'm curious for you how it is. If
Well,
like if
I
it carries
just
through.
Yeah, I just came from teaching a chess class with another chess teacher. He and I like to join our advanced classes together. And so we trade off. I got up and showed a beautiful smothered mate that I did in one of my games, and then he gets up, he does a lesson, and then the kids get to play. And I noticed that it all gets handled effortlessly.
Mm.
The struggle is what seems to not be here anymore. Like everything seemed to used to be a struggle
Mm-hmm.
or took planning or like work. Like I hope this works out. Like it had a weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's sort of like,
Mm.
I don't know, help me out, Indira. It's like you just see this doing itself.
Yeah, the same here. It's like so I go to work and I play roles. I
Mhm.
play the role of a flight attendant, right? Just do what the body does. Get up, get dressed, go in the car, drive to the terminal, blah 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 blah. Get on the plane, interact with people, listen to other people's stories. Maybe there might be stories that may come out of here, and then it's all done. Or there may be people that are um, angry. Doesn't even matter. Whatever happens in that moment, it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's not important. Like there used to be an importance of the day, and there's no importance. It's gone after that. There's no like it's as if the importance had legs.
Mm-hmm.
And because the truth of the matter is that this is home always. This is you can't get away from this. So no matter what the body does, it's all O fucking K. All of it. Does that make sense?
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But isn't it always spontaneous, Michael or Indira? It doesn't seem spontaneous if you identify as a me who is doing something, isn't it? So when you say that there's this effortlessness, isn't that because you've disidentified with a persona who's doing something? So then it seems to be effortless because you've disidentified with doership.
yeah.
So you're experiencing more of non-doership. So you can also call that witnessing.
Mhm.
So you're aware more of a spaciousness behind the doing,
and you're paying more attention to that spaciousness, which is not doing anything, to that which is being done.
Beautiful.
Well said.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, Tony.
Yeah. Bullseye.
Yeah. Mm.
So like that's what Tony's saying is actually it's almost as if the space does everything. Like that's what you finally hits you. Like you you were not needed. Like it was actually like grinding the gears. You were superfluous.
You're redundant.
Yeah, innocently. Like life has it covered. Like life's good. And then we get in there and like, stand back, God, I got this.
Yeah. Which is also life, just
Yeah.
a chunk of life going unconscious for a bit, thinking they're separate.
Mhm.
Something. Mm.
But Michael, that's why you can't experience the coffee cup and infinity at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Although I have to say,
It,
Tony, I was saying, in a way, though, I noticed there's a space here that's not doing anything. And then there's always seeming change within the changeless.
Mm.
when you're totally experiencing that space, the world has to disappear momentarily. Actually, Ramana said, and somebody else as well, I can think of, when there is only self, and maybe talk about the big self, just this infinite spaciousness, when there is self, there is no world. When there is world, there is no self. So when you experience the totality of that spaciousness, the world is momentarily disappearing. It's completely vanishing. But it seems like there's a continuation. It's a bit like film that's being, celluloid running in a projector. You have 24 frames that make up 1 second of motion. But in actual fact, you're not seeing continuous motion. One frame goes into the film gate and the light shines through and projects it onto the screen. And then there's a blank, there's nothing so that the frame can move out of the way. There's a complete blank. And then the next frame comes into the projector and it's illuminated.
Yeah.
So about half the time, you're not seeing anything, there's nothing.
Mm.
But it seems like continuous motion. So what I would say is that if you're totally experiencing that spaciousness, even if just for a moment, just a fraction of a second, the world actually disappears, but then comes back very quickly. But it looks like continuous motion in the way that you see a film being projected on the screen.
Yeah.
But that spaciousness feels good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not hanging on to the story. Yeah, it feels good. I mean, there can be memories of it, but it seems.
Yeah.
As long as it's happening naturally, though, right? Because you're not trying to let go of the story. The story is being let go of automatically because you're moving the attention to the spaciousness, and because you're doing that, the story goes. See, it's an important distinction, isn't it? Because you're not trying to get rid of anything. Because if you were doing that, you would just be introducing a lot of tension in trying to get rid of the story. But by noticing that spaciousness, the story automatically disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it dispels, collapses. Mm-hmm.
It just seems like another story inside of a story.
Mm.
Yeah, that too.
But that spaciousness isn't a story, Amor, is it? Because you're not attaching any labels to it. You're not describing it, are you? You're not having to put a label on that spaciousness. So I wouldn't define that as a story.
All we can talk in is stories, so we got to have some word for something. You can't just have.
Yeah, of course. When we talk about it using language, then of course everything's a story, right? Everything's a concept.
Yeah, that's
Are we really moving attention to the spaciousness, or is it just it has moved or something? It's just that it still has its sort of you. It's just still that it doesn't feel right. Um,
mm,
it's hard to describe, but um, there may be like a descriptive moving to spaciousness, but not. It doesn't feel right to say a you moving, and I'm not just talking language. It feels like it's not a doing in the sense of agency doing. It's just an effortless effort. If
A fluid movement.
yeah,
Like
Does it matter who's doing it, Harvey? I mean, who cares whether you think someone's doing it? I mean, if it's just happening, does it matter? Do you have to analyze it and say, well, who's moving towards spaciousness? Who cares?
I'll just tell you why it doesn't and it does, and here's why. I think that if I was just listening to it, I might then it sounds a little bit to me, if I didn't know better, almost prescriptive,
Mhm.
you know. And so I'm not saying it's not just that's what I'm thinking about. It's like if I was just hearing it, it would sound like, well, here's something to do.
Yeah, it is prescriptive. There is an aspect of it that is prescriptive, of course. And then of course you can say, well, wait a minute, if it's prescriptive, then who's doing this? And then you
Mhm.
can get into all these non-dual arguments about, well, I'm not the doer, so I'm not doing anything. Who cares? When you do something, you're not the doer, but you act as though you are. And I think that's good enough.
there you go. Yeah, going along with you, Tony. I have a prescriptive thing that does it. It has nothing to do with like directing my attention anywhere. I kind of just ask myself what's happening right now if I doesn't exist or if I was never invented. And then that does it for me. And it you can call that prescriptive totally. Yeah. But then what you said, it's all within the story that we think we are in charge of
Yeah, well, Casey,
everything
that's a
that
kind of
happens.
self in that's a kind of self-inquiry that you're doing, isn't it? Because you're asking a question and that question doesn't really have an answer.
Mhm.
And because it doesn't have an answer, the mind is temporarily suspended. It stops. That's the whole point of self-inquiry, that you're asking an unanswerable question, and that just stops the mind in its tracks. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. So, Indira, Leela sent me this amazing video from about a year ago with where Angelo Mazzillo interviewed you for an hour and 17 minutes. Amazing. And I have a quote here from Angelo. He said, "There's no way things are."
That's that's cute. But
So,
Here, oh, sorry. I just
no,
wanted to add
go.
on that I appreciated the quote from earlier. Indira, you said, this is home always. And
Mhm.
it's so simple. But if you really hold that and say, no matter what happens, I'm here, I'm at home, I'm present in this situation, that just feels really powerful for me. So thank you.
you.
Yeah, I like that too because it's just if I don't realize it, I'm always home. then there is somebody trying to get to the space or the emptiness or the absolute or whatever. And but it's always here. It's never not here, and yet we're talking as if we can get somewhere that's already present. Uh, but yet thought, that's what it does. But thought could only discover what's not real. It's almost like the neti neti thing that they used years ago. But it's not good for just being okay. Just being what is right now. It's almost like this isn't home somehow.
Yeah,
But
regardless of
Manny,
what
it's
the
not an
mind.
attainment, is it, Manny? It's not an attainment. It's
No,
just a
no.
revealing of what is
Uh,
already there, right?
an
So it's like,
attainment
the
is the
sun is
knower
behind the
that's gonna,
clouds
yeah.
and it's always there, but it just might be obscured by a cloud. But the sun is still shining, right? So all you have to do is remove the cloud. And that's why you need a prescription.
But then again, it's
Yes.
never obscured. See, that's the belief is
Perceptual.
that's another thought saying it's obscured by a cloud.
For me, it's like when the thoughts are gone, then it's just obvious. Is it similar for anyone else? And the thoughts come back automatically.
But that's another thought.
Yeah.
And it's
The,
it's
the
endless. It's
baseline,
endless.
it's
Yeah.
the baseline. It's like I'm speaking in beliefs and words, and
Yeah.
I have to have some kind of,
I have a question.
I'm the character in the story. So yeah, what? So go for
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where do thoughts get their power from?
They don't have any power.
it. Hmm.
I was just going to say that.
Like where does everything get its power from? Like what is illuminating
from,
everything?
from the creator of the thought or anything.
Like this. Go ahead, Addie.
I was gonna say, where's that creator? There's no creator.
Is that creator you?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ishvara.
Is the perceiver the creator?
What is a creator?
An apparent reality.
Without words.
Without words.
Yeah, I would say that it's impossible for anything to be created.
Hey,
Yeah. So it's apparently created like the dream. And
Yeah, it seems to be created because it wasn't there before and it's there now. And you're saying, well, it's been created. But usually when you talk about creation, you're talking about transforming, aren't you? Because like if you take a lump of clay and you fashion it in, you turn it into a pot, all you're doing is you're creating a pot, but all you're really doing is transferring the shape of the clay.
Yeah.
There's no one who knows anything, but to have a creator and a creation, there has to be two things happening.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the tricky question of, well, what happened before the creation? That's really tricky.
Nothing and everything.
See,
That's it because the creation doesn't create the whole is already whole. It doesn't need to create anything, and it doesn't. Yet the apparent life is being experienced by, and they say no one, there's no personal person involved in it that's separate from the whole. It is part of the whole. And it's
Yeah.
appearing because if the whole is unlimited, it has a capacity to allow us to experience things in a way that's magical.
That sounds just like another thought thinking, this is
Yeah.
magical.
Yeah, it's wordless. Yeah.
Sometimes in some ways it's could be called self-created. It just appears. Self-created. There's no doer, creator, agent. It just appears. It's just. And we tell a story that there was time and creator and creation, but it's just the words that might use self-created. But there is not that there's a self, it just appears.
It's almost like a projection. When the dreamer dreams, it just projects. There's no cause or effect to it. It's just boom, there it is. Immaculate conception.
It's the projecting power of Maya.
Yeah. Ishvara. Yeah. God.
So there's no way things are uh, can be quite powerful because in order for me to have plans, I have to think I know what everything is. I have to know what you are, what I am, how I'm going to get there. There's a lot of knowing in there. But if there's no way things actually are, like, let's say we had a mutual friend, and I said, well, what do you think of this person? And you gave me your opinion. And then I gave you my opinion. Who would be right?
Obviously, you would.
No, it's me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I threw off your chain.
That's funny. But you see, the belief can only cause suffering if you believe there's a real thing that's actually exists the way you think it does.
Yeah.
But the belief is also the subject that's
Yeah.
believing, and that's why it's causes pain because it's in duality. It's friend or foe is looking at, and it doesn't realize that that's what's going on.
Well, it's funny, right, Manny? Because if there's no separation, then friend and foe is imagined.
That's right. But when you said that there's two people looking at something, that they're going to have different opinions regardless, because they're seeing it from different aspects anyway, different conditioning, different everything.
Yeah.
So, but
But
that's a good question.
that person is just an image in your mind, isn't it? The other person who's believing something else is just a
Hmm.
thought in your mind.
Hmm.
But there's no subject believing it because there's not two. But there appears to be. Somehow we divide it, don't we? We divide it into I know something
Yeah.
that comes about as two-ness, and that's the suffering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Taking
This,
yourself to
yeah.
be limited as the object.
It's like steps out and it separates itself from the whole in a belief and an idea that's not real. It's just an idea.
Yeah, it's like if you take yourself to be the subject, then everything else will appear as an object
Yeah.
to you, the subject. But
Hmm.
that also can, I don't have a word for it, dissolve, thin out, lighten, pick your verb. But there's a tangible lightening of everything across the board.
Hmm.
Yeah, it really does loosen up the whole subject object feeling, the feeling of it.
Yeah. So the essence remains the same. It's still whole, but the projection, it's like the desire that vibrating energy causes something to express itself within the dream. And here we are thinking that this is real. The
Well,
persona I believe I am is real,
yeah.
yet it's not,
Well, I noticed that when I
ultimately.
take myself like the needs of a me are endless. Like you never get the me never gets enough respect, it never says, oh, stop, It's like, no, it wants more. Same with money. No, it never says, oh, I'm good, you know. So what I noticed was that as long as I identified, so to say, as a separate me, I never was happy or not for long. So this doesn't need anything.
Yeah. Without a belief, it doesn't need anything. The belief causes me to be the prodigal son. Go out there.
Well, that somebody just said that, right? Even with the belief, this doesn't need anything.
Yeah.
It's so vast and full.
Mm.
Although those are just words, that's saying a lot.
Come on.
Emptiness is fullness.
Mhm.
Yeah, the only thing I can say about seeking is you seek until somehow you see that there ain't nothing to find, you know? It's like going into an empty room and looking for something that you imagine is in the room. At some point, after you've checked everywhere, you can realize, oh, there was never anything to get. I was already this. I was never not this.
There's a relaxation.
Mhm.
Mm.
Well, seeking stops when the seeking thoughts simply don't arise anymore.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Tony, because that's kind of how it was here. It was very low key. There were no fireworks. I didn't see one angel. And there were definitely weren't trumpets. But it was just it
Keep
was
looking.
Same here. It's so simple and ordinary.
Of course, if that happens, that doesn't mean to say we can't discuss it as a subject, as a topic of conversation. So even if those thoughts don't, that seeking energy doesn't arise anymore, it doesn't mean you can't talk about it, of course.
Oh, it's quite enjoyable. It's actually the only thing I want to talk about. Like it's sort of like, like mountain climbers have to test themselves and climb without a rope for some crazy reason. And like here, like Leela and I were talking about this. Leela and I both are very clear. It's absolutely impossible to say anything about this. You just aren't going to nail it. Every word is going to come up short. but it doesn't mean you can't try. The beauty is in the attempt, in the poetry, in the song, in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
It's a big heart connection here. Yeah, language can never touch it,
Yeah.
but we can still connect and we can feel underneath the words and we can connect through that.
Mm-hmm.
Indira, I think this heart thing is really, really important because the heart does seem to open up.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It does.
Would you say it opens up, or our awareness of it being open appears? I guess
Okay,
sometimes
so
getting,
I would say awareness and heart are no different.
yeah, exactly.
If you're established in that spaciousness, then that is heart.
It definitely feels experiential.
Oh, yes, yes. Even unconditional, what you could call unconditional love or
Mm-hmm.
compassion, whatever, it still appears as an experience in the
Mm-hmm.
body mind instrument.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not going to be any need to kind of dissect it and analyze it
Yeah.
because it's just one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one. When there's just one, these thoughts arising about trying to understand it intellectually, but just simply don't arise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Well said.
Yeah. Better left unknown. Mm.
Yeah, as Michael said right at the beginning, I don't know what I am. Well, that's
Yeah.
true. You can't describe. You can't say what you are. Manny, you mentioned this neti approach, which starts from this basis of, well, I'm not this, I'm not this. So you kind of remove everything to get to what you are. But you can't say what you are.
Right.
You can be it,
Yeah.
you can be it, but you can't say what it is.
Yeah. Words describe, and the description is not the thing. And
Yeah, the map isn't the territory. What's that phrase?
no,
Yes.
the taste of a peach isn't the same. I could
Yeah.
point to a peach.
Who are you if there's no such thing as you or the word you?
Delighted.
If it was never invented, who are you? What's a you?
Me seems like an obstruction nowadays, other than practical thought. You're going to plan a trip, do this and that, and plan your calendar, finish your taxes, get them in, that kind of stuff. All of those are practical things. And the angst that comes over them is just not necessary, but it's fun to kind of go into it like we've done in the past. But then after a while, you see it's mechanical, and and you see that it ends up in the same place every time. And so you just kind of, okay, let's just be. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it comes and goes on its own.
Yeah, Casey, a lot of people have this problem with this word you and me, but whether you're talking about this personal individual, uh, this person, or you're talking about the impersonal, it doesn't really matter because if there's oneness, there's not a division between impersonal and personal. So you can just refer to all of it as you. It doesn't matter if it's expressing itself as something individual. You're expressing some preference for some movie you like or kind of food you like to eat. It doesn't really matter because it's no different to the impersonal
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, it
just a it's just
doesn't
a flow. It's just a flow.
yeah.
It's like like an athlete, does all this training to run, but then when they do the 100 meters sprint or whatever, they're just kind of in the zone. They talk about athletes being in the zone. In that zone, there's just the flow. There's no thinking, there's no doing, there's just spontaneous acting, which is not separate from
Personal.
the spaciousness behind it or anything else. It's just all one.
Yeah.
Flow state doesn't feel personal. Is that
Yeah.
would you agree with that when you're in the
So
flow?
say that again, Casey.
When you're in the flow state, does it feel personal or impersonal? For me, it feels impersonal, like when I'm in the flow
I'd
state.
have to
This
say
is not my
neither, actually.
connection.
When 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 people are in the flow, they'll often, because I talk to a lot of athletes, and um, they can look back. Of course, they can say later on what it felt like, but during that, they wouldn't say it was either personal or impersonal because it's no description at all. It's just a spontaneous presencing,
Right.
and
Exactly.
and that's all, and
Yes.
that's it. There's
Nice.
no words beyond that. It's just spontaneous presence.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, that proves the point, doesn't it? You can't speak about this. You can't talk about it. There's
Yeah.
nothing really to
Yeah,
say.
and when they do talk about it, if they say, "Oh, I'm doing really well," at that very moment, that's the end of the zone,
Right.
Yeah.
so to speak,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
now the I has asserted, or it's there, and that separation. It's me doing whatever. But in a sort of that flow, it is a flow. That's the way they'll describe it. They would never say it in that moment. There's no description or any words. It's just.
Yeah,
Mm.
when you do that, it's like you've just got in the way
Yeah.
and you need to get out of the way of that simple, spontaneous
Mm.
whatever is happening.
The one thing that they'll always point out is that because afterwards they'll say, "Oh, I'd love to get back in that flow or zone because I was scoring, or making a touchdown." But there is no technique to get to it. It just happens if it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Oh, is this the difference between causation and causality?
Mm.
Well,
Because it's like, if you're growing an apple on a tree, you can help it by, watering the tree and giving it nutrients and all that stuff. And you'll see the apple grow and it gets more and more ripe. And that's all kind of causation. But when the apple actually drops off the tree, that's not. That's
yeah.
unpredictable. You can't, there's
No.
nothing that causes the apple to fall off the tree at that moment.
but Tony, they're not two. The watering is just as much it as the falling of the apple.
Oh,
Nothing,
sure. Yeah. Ultimately, it
nothing's,
is. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, nothing's causing anything.
Right. The causation is the story that we tell about it.
Mm. News reporter. Yeah.
Well, you could say that you observe causation at a local level. You could say that it seems to be, if you hit a snooker ball, you know what's going to happen, right? So you see that causation, but in the big picture scheme of things, there's nothing really happening.
Mm. Empirically, it's just whatever's happening, and then we say that's the cause, but that's a psychological kind of, it's an overlay that we put on it. But in and of what actually happens, the causation it's really here in the story, but it's not actually inherently existing.
Yeah, I think you're right, Harvey. But I think the problem is you can never go back to the first cause. That's the problem. You can never go back to the first cause. It's like if you hit a snooker ball, you can say, "Why did I hit the snooker ball?" And you could say, well, because I picked up the cue and I hit it. But why did you do that? Oh, well, I was sitting down and I got up and I picked, etc. Why did you do that? Well, I woke up that morning and I thought I want to go and play snooker. Yeah, but why did that happen? So you can never go back to the first cause that started everything.
In philosophy, they call that Thomas Aquinas called it the uncaused cause.
Yes.
First cause that didn't have a cause. I mean, that's just getting philosophical because you keep going backwards, and then the assertion was, well, there has to be one cause that didn't have an antecedent cause, and they called it God, the uncaused cause.
Nerdy. I like it.
But nevertheless, we do seem to have this transactional relationship between cause and effect.
Mm.
It just never really happened. Like I may talk about it, I may have a story, I may have an interpretation, but if I'm really looking, it just never happened. It's just words.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Somebody was asking me about some memories from long time ago, 20 years ago, whatever. And I was saying to them, everything that I can remember about what happened in my so-called life, it just seems like a dream. It's like it just like it never happened. It's just like some kind of dream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest ways, Tony, I saw through that here was when I saw there's not actually a past.
Right. Or what appears to be the past is just a memory that is happening right now in this moment, and then it's gone.
Well, it's interesting because the memories come up and they're believed, and me too, very nostalgic, love the 60s and 70s when I grew up and the music and the vibe, but it's always fresh here and now. The memory is not actually a memory. It's the mind building whatever the fuck it built. Like you have no choice in the memory that it presents to you.
Yeah, right. And there's no reason why you should hold on to some particular memories rather than others. It's just sometimes I have a memory of something and I think, well, why did I seem to remember that rather than something else? Who knows?
Well, I believe there's a path, and for me, the end
Good
of
on you, Don. Good on you. I'm right behind you there, mate.
Stay right there.
Are you making progress, John?
Yeah, so let's hear the prescription. I know what you're going to say.
And at the end of my path, I'm not talking about your path because I don't know about that. But my path at the end is God.
My path's better than your path.
No. And I'm on the path. God's at the end, and all of that is this.
Yeah.
And all of that is this.
Already.
It's not separate.
Yeah.
So having a path, going to God is this. Or not having a path, not going to God is this. It's all this. And the last thing, the best thing I got about non-duality this week was seeing Indira on YouTube or Facebook with her dog. That was amazing.
Wow.
That one was just that. I don't know what you were petting the dog.
I was kissing him and hugging. I was in the moment with him. I love him so much.
And it to me, that was non-duality. That was oneness. That was beautiful. I thank you so much for that, for posting that. So everybody should see that. It'll open your heart.
Wow.
Open your heart.
Well, Indira, you've definitely got the props tonight, from me seeing Angelo's interview with you to Don's flowery, kind words. Wow. What a blessing. So I love it, you guys. It's really, I love being here with you. It's such a joy to be able to express freely about this.
I love it too. It's so grounding. Feels grounding.
Any last
Look,
comments or questions before we
I was
close
just,
out this evening?
yeah, I'm going to add that it feels liberating. I've said this before. It's just nice to have a forum to share on this wavelength.
Thank you.
These thoughts are circulating, so to have an exchange just feels like, oh yeah, I'm not the crazy one having these thoughts by myself.
Okay. Yeah, you're not
And I want
alone.
to thank Harvey for your share and everybody else that shared here tonight. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Tony,
guys.
thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Mwah.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks you,
Bye.
Alexis.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.